Press all the buttons, get the internet going, and we are live there, we are live there, we are live there, we're live everybody, everywhere goes live. Welcome everybody, and if this is your first time joining me on the live stream, feels like I haven't done one of these in forever, even though I just finished one over on Adobe Live. Welcome, my name is Terry White, Worldwide Design and Photography Evangelist for Adobe. It's my pleasure to be streaming to you live today on InDesign Tuesday. And also, I don't think I'm going to get a chance to do it next week because of Photoshop World. So better get one in before Photoshop World. I don't want to go 2 weeks without streaming on Tuesday. Deb, Thomas, Meminu, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, which I probably am. Sorry about that. Lee, Adolph, welcome everyone. I see Colleen, Anel, Marlo, Mon, Patsy, Richard, Mark. Welcome everyone. Colleen, I know, is all the way from South Africa, and is it Giri or Jiri from Norway? Welcome. Bangladesh in the house. All the people from all over the world. Jackie, we see you as well. Philip, we see you as well. Felipe. All right, so with that said, what are we doing today? We use the same tools in InDesign every single day. You create frames, you move stuff around, you type text, you do the same things all the time. But there's a whole list of tools that you may or may not be using. And that's what we're going to talk about today is 5 of those tools, which I should probably launch my note. 5 of those tools that you may have never used, or you certainly probably aren't using them all the time. And it's not because they're not good tools. It's just that people just, if you're learning Lightroom, you learn the ones you need. You don't think about the ones you don't need, but could still be helpful. So that's what we're going to do today. All right, so 5 underutilized tools that you should be using, meaning they have a good use, they have a good purpose. That's why they're there. Hey, Rochelle, I see you waving. All right, so let's go ahead and jump over to the computer so you guys can see what I'm doing. I've got InDesign open. It was funny. One of the critiques I got on one of my recent videos, and I try to take critiques with a grain of salt because it depends on where it's coming from. But one of the critiques was, you just had a document open and you just do it like we're supposed to know how you created that document. And this is from a beginner, and I get that. And what I really wanted to write back and say, 99% of my InDesign videos, I always start with how to create the document from scratch. You just caught the one video where I didn't do that. But again, I just let it go. All right, so we're going to do that today. We're going to create the document from scratch because we kind of need to anyway. So for that person, who I will leave nameless, here we go. This is how we created that document from scratch. All right, just having fun. Here we go, new document. It's going to bring up the new document dialog box. I've shown this a million times. You can go scroll down. You can create a custom size. You can use a template. You can grab templates from any of the different categories. So I use the print templates all the time. They're web templates, which are designed for publish online. And then there's mobile templates that are designed for ebooks. But just because a template is designed for a specific purpose doesn't mean that you can't use it for other things. So for example, if I like this whimsical cookbook EPUB layout because I see some of the elements in it that I may like, that's okay. I can still grab that template. I can see a preview of what it's going to look like. You may not get all the photos. You probably won't get all the photos. It's 12 pages, optimized for ebook layout. Photos shown in the preview are for display only and not included to be downloaded. So you will put your own cookbook photos in. But that's okay. I'm going to close the preview and I'm going to download that template. Because downloading that template, did I click the button? Yeah, downloading that template will help me get started with one of the first tools. All right, so it's going to tell me, by the way, if you download a template and you don't have the fonts active that template uses, you can go ahead and activate those fonts right now. And it doesn't use any fonts that you can't get from your Creative Cloud subscription. So that way, no matter what fonts are used in the document, you have access to them. All right, so it's taking a few seconds to activate that. We will let it happen. I really don't care about the fonts. It's kind of some of the elements I saw in the document that I really like. This is taking longer than usual. Normally it takes a few seconds to do this. I'm going to give it a couple more seconds. I'm just going to close it and move on because I don't really care about the type anyway. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If it takes over 10 seconds, I'm usually going to bail. That's my attention span. All right, let's close that. We don't care about the type anyway. And by the way, you can always go back and resync that font, or maybe it's my internet connection on this computer. I don't know. Whatever it is. But this is kind of the stuff I was looking for. I wasn't looking for the type as much as I was looking for these little graphic elements. These are kind of cute. So this is what I came to this template for. Now, if I move this around, I can see that these are kind of grouped together. So let's see if I can ungroup those. Ungroup. Let's see if I can get to them individually. Yeah, now I can get to the individual pieces, or at least some of them. Wow, this is grouped into multiple groups. Ungroup again. There we go. Now I'll get to the individual pieces. All right, and of course, some of these may still be grouped. Great, let's ungroup this one. And this is going to make sense in just a second. You're going to wonder, why is he ungrouping those? Because I want these individual pieces for a reason. So the first tool I'm about to show you, this was all leading up to something. You have a layout or multiple layouts, and you want to steal stuff, borrow stuff from each layout and put it in a new layout. So the question that someone's asking, Ian's asking, is this Photoshop? This is InDesign Tuesday. So this is Adobe InDesign. So this is not Photoshop. So I want to take individual elements. It could be the text, it could be graphics, it could be frames, it could be anything. Anything InDesign can have. It could be paths, whatever it has. And I want to use them in individual, I want to steal from individual documents and use them in a new layout. Now, the reason why you're probably not using this tool that I'm about to show you is because you have a way to do that now. It's called the libraries. InDesign had a library before CC libraries, and now you've got the CC library. So if I really wanted to use that element over and over again that I have selected, I can just go ahead and simply add it to the library as a graphic, and it will always be there. And I can always drag it into my document. But what if I only want to use it once? Like, I don't need to keep a library of these things. I just want to use them. There are some things that I want to steal from one document and use in another one. Do I have to put them all in the library every single time? The answer is no. First thing we're going to do is create our new document that we're going to use these elements in. So new document. And this will just make as a blank document. It doesn't need to be, that's a custom 11 by 8.5. We're going to use 8.5 by 11. 8.5 by 11, one page, no facing page. Great. Matter of fact, we'll make it 2 pages just for fun. And we'll click create. So now I have 2 InDesign documents. I have the one with the stuff I'm going to steal from, and the one with the stuff that, or the blank one that I'm going to put stuff in. Now let's say we open up one more. Let's do one more new document just for the sake of example. And we'll use another template. It doesn't have to be a template, obviously. It could be one of your InDesign documents. We'll use this one. All right, so now we've got 3 documents open. The one we want to borrow stuff from, another one we want to borrow stuff from, and the one we want to put stuff in. Terry, can't you just drag and drop? Yes. Terry, can't you copy and paste? Yes. Terry, can't you place things in the library and drag them over later? Yes. All of those things don't change. But for a production-heavy environment where you need to move a bunch of things over, but put them in individual spots where you want them, there's a tool for that. And that tool is the content collector tool. So the content collector tool, one of those tools you probably never used, the letter B to get to it, is like a clipboard. It's like copy and paste with multiple instances. Copy and paste, as you know, only works with one thing. So if I wanted to copy and paste individual elements, I'd have to go back and forth, copying the individual elements and pasting them on the fly, because you can only have one thing on the clipboard at a time. Drag and drop would work, but I still have to go back and forth. So let's do this. Let's go to this document first, because it's got some cool things in it. Let's select one thing, and let's go to the new content, not new, it's been there for a while. Content collector brings up this panel. So it's in 2 modes, collecting things, distributing things. So with the collector selected, I can just click on an element I want to bring in. And the element can be anything. I want to bring in that weird thing, bring that in too. And it's bringing them in order. I want to bring in that text, bring that text in. Come down here. I want to bring in that and then that. And then I want to bring in maybe that and then that. So I can bring in all the individual pieces that I want. And maybe then I want this text, and maybe then I want that text, maybe I want that text. Then we move over to a different document. The content collector stays loaded. I want to bring over the tropical party. I want to bring over, I like the blue flowers better. And I want to bring over, I'm going to hold down my Command key temporarily to get to my selection tool so I can move this out of the way and get to that one. So now I basically collected all of these elements. Maybe I collected all these elements. I collected all these elements. Did it run out of space? No, it didn't. And if I go to the distribute, what do you call it? The content placer tool, then I can get to all 14 elements that I brought in. So I did bring over everything, and I can bring over anything that I want now in the order I want when I go to the new document. Now, there are different modes for bringing things in, because right now, if you place the elements, they will unload from the collector. So it's like a one-time thing. If I place this element, it will let me place it wherever I want and then unload it from the cursor and go to the, or unload it from the collector and go to the next thing. Or you can say, place multiple and keep them in the conveyor, or place and keep in the conveyor and load the next one. So this way, if I use this last one, I don't lose all the stuff that's in there, and I can literally use it over and over and over again throughout my document. So I can come here and say, yep, I want to place that text right there. That text is white, so let's move it over so we can actually see it. There we go. I want to place that text right there. I want to place this yellow thing. Let's place that right there. That wasn't yellow, but the yellow thing's next. There we go. I want to place the yellow thing on top of it. And it will place, or in it, it will place it, what am I trying to say? It will place it at the original size, but you can scale it. You can also jump to a specific thing that you want, or you can, so I can toggle over to the one that I actually want next. So I want that one next, and I can come down to the next page and say, I don't want it at 100%, I want it this big. And then I can place that thing that big. Then it will jump to the next one. I want the next one right next to it, and I want that one this big. So you can go in and literally lay things out the way you want. I want this here. And the next thing, and so again, it's doing it in order. So it's grabbing all the things, and that again is white. Let's put that where it goes. And it will just keep cycling through because I told it to not unload things. So I can keep placing the same things over and over again. So the content collector, for people that need to repurpose content over and over and over again, and you don't have libraries, or maybe it's a one-time thing, you can go grab this stuff one time. That's why it's better in the library. Because if I set up in the library, I got to send a library, then I got to delete it when I'm done. So it's a one-time thing. And how often do we do that? We go grab something one time, use it, we're done. We don't need it again. We don't need it in a library. It's a one-time shot. If you need it, that's why libraries exist. If it's something I'm going to use over and over and over again from here on out, then yes, I'd put these things in a library. That's why I have over 80 libraries in Creative Cloud. But it really depends on you. All right. So, and I just said that. What's the big difference between a library is that it's a content collector. It's not a library. So I'm not taking up space on the library. I'm not syncing the stuff across multiple computers. It's a one-time shot. I need these things to build a document this one time, and I don't have to put them in a library just to bring them over again. That's the difference. All right. And again, if you prefer libraries, use libraries. All right, next up. Second thing, number 2 is another tool, actually. It's the, these are all tools. It's the page tool. The page tool is one of those tools you probably have tried it and you're like, well, what good is that? What is it going to do for me? Let me just make this smaller so I can get this off the edge there. There we go. What's the page tool? And let's get rid of that and that. I just want to move this. I'm just moving this stuff around for a reason. You'll see in a minute. What's the page tool for? The page tool is this tool right here. And when you click on it, it gives you handles. This is great. Now, first and foremost, the best use of the page tool is if you decide you need to change your page size, clicking the page tool for this individual page will let you change the page size to whatever you need it to be. So if this new page needed to be legal size, that's what the page tool just did. It just made the page longer, doesn't affect the rest of the pages. I'm not changing the document size. I'm just working with this one page. But here's the one use for the page tool that most people don't know. Well, why does it have handles? Because when you pull a handle and you let go, it just snaps back. It's like, well, what good is that? If I can resize a page and make it custom, that'd be kind of cool. But it keeps snapping back. That's because, by default, that's what it does. If you want the page to actually stay the size that you need it to be, that you just made it, then you're going to hold down your Option key or Alt key on Windows. That will allow you to resize the page to whatever you need it to be without it snapping back. So it will make that change permanent. So again, if I need a specific size, go to the page tool and click on the page you want and make it the specific size. If you're trying to create something custom, the handles are great for that. All right, next up, page tool, we're going to go to... This is kind of fun. Let me see here. Do I have another page here? Let's get rid of this stuff real quick. All right, I'm going to put a few elements on the page first. I'm going to grab that. I'm using the library, not the collector, because this is stuff I use over and over again. There's the difference. Let's grab this. All right, great. Let's grab this. Something like that. Great. And let's grab one more. Let's use her again. Okay, great. And we'll scale it down. I'm not holding down anything, of course. InDesign is always, when you're placing something, scaled it proportionally based on the proportions of the image you're bringing in. So I noticed that it's a narrower space here than there's a narrow space between the columns than there is between the row. Now I could literally measure that space and adjust it and move these up. I could use a table. I could do a lot of things to get it to be the exact same space. Or if I don't care about the space, maybe I'm trying to do something visually. That's where this tool comes in, and it's called the gap tool. So the gap tool, the letter U, will automatically detect gaps as you hover over the gaps. So there's a gap, there's a gap, there's a gap. I'm not holding down anything, I'm just hovering, it's detecting those gaps. So this allows me to control the frames. I can move them around, that's one use. If I hold down a modifier key, let me undo that last one. Hold down a modifier key, I can hold down the Shift key and just do one. So if you're trying to get one to be and you can always resize the photos inside, great. You can also hold down the Option key and you can move the whole thing around. So if you're just trying to move the whole grid around, you can do that. And let me see if I can do this. If you hold down Option Command, that would be the one that will help me get the space to match. And look what it just did. It just matched the vertical space with the horizontal space now. Actually, the horizontal, it matched them. All right, let's go ahead and do that. And then, let's see, I did Option, I did Command, Control on Windows, Alt on Windows, Shift. I think I did all the combinations. Let me try Command, Option, Shift. I don't know if that does anything. Oh yeah, no, that's still just doing one at a time. All right, so the gap tool is for fixing gaps, for adjusting how things are spaced apart on the page. All right, next up, check out the gap tool if you haven't. Let's see, what do I have next on my list? This one's going to sound silly because no one uses it. And you probably stopped using it way back. If you ever tried to use it in Illustrator, you probably stopped using it way back then. But it's, believe it or not, it's the pencil tool. And why is the pencil tool so bad and why does no one use it? Because for years, maybe even decades, it's always done exactly what, and by the way, what's bothering me, hang on, before we get to the pencil tool. That little bit of off center there was bothering me, but anyway, let's get to the pencil tool. The pencil tool has always done exactly what you told it to do. And if you were trying to use it with a mouse, it was even worse. So if you try to do something like that, you got a very, unsmooth line, a very jagged line. So if you were trying to make a nice smooth path to put type on or do something with or make it a design element, the pencil tool was actually too accurate. It was doing exactly everywhere you hesitated, everywhere you moved, it did exactly what you told it to do. So you tried it once, your hand wasn't steady enough, and that was it. You just let it go. I know it's bothering me too. It's even bothering me that that's not touching, but we'll let it go. All right, next up. So double click the pencil tool. That'll get to the pencil tool settings. And right now the smoothness by default is bad. It's on 0. Let's crank it up to 100. Now, even with, I'm not even going to use my stylus. I'm still going to use a mouse. I'm going to do that. And I get a nice smooth line that's more accurate than what I would have gotten without it. So this makes the pencil tool actually usable, and especially, I think I did 3 of these, especially if you're going to use it in conjunction with a stylus. So let's give it a color. Let's grab a stylus. And am I still on it? No, I'm not. Pencil tool. We get some nice smooth lines. Now it will try and adjust. You may not like the adjustment it made. You can always tweak the points, but you get some nice smooth lines that you can work with that are easier, look better than trying to do that with the pen tool and trying to adjust. Now, if you're a pen tool Jedi, if you're a pen tool expert, you'll still prefer the pen tool. But for people that just want to draw or sign their name or do something naturally in InDesign, the pencil tool is great. Now, the next tool actually kind of supports me drawing these strokes. So let's undo a couple of them. Actually, let's undo all of them except that one. Well, what if I wanted to resize that? How would I do it? Well, I can grab this, I can grab the selection tool. I could hold down the command and the shift, and I can rescale it that way. Okay, that always will work. But there's another tool, there's another way that will hopefully do it a little quicker, a little easier. Instead of me having to grab it with multiple tools, there is, if I can find it here, not the scale tool, there is, oh no, I don't see it. It is here, it's just buried. Hang on, sorry about that, hold on. Why aren't my tools popping out? My tools are not extending for some reason. I'm pretty sure, here, let me try this. Sorry guys, having technical difficulty selecting a tool. For whatever reason, it's not letting me pick out multiple tools that I know are there. Here, let's try this. Let's try it with the stylus. I can't get to it. The tool I'm trying to get to is the free transform. There's a free transform tool built in. For whatever reason, InDesign is not letting me grab my tools. Is there some, here, let me hit escape. Let's try one more thing. I can't, it will not let me get to the other tools. Bummer. All right, well, the free transform tool will let you not only scale things, but it'll let you distort them without having to hold down a bunch of extra keys, if I could ever get to it. No, that's not what I want. All right, I don't know why it's not letting me get to that tool. but you're just going to have to you're going to have to get to it on your machine. Yeah, every other tool is letting me work except that one. There's my content stuff again. Yeah, I can't pop out my type tools for whatever reason. I could quit InDesign and try it again, but it's not like. All right, let's go on to the last one, and then I'll answer questions while I'm restarting InDesign. I'm not sure why it's not letting me pop out additional tools. All right, shortcut E, is that it? Ah, thank you. The shortcut E worked for whatever reason, even though I couldn't get to the tool itself. All right, shortcut E. That will let you rotate your objects. That will let you scale. Holding down your shift key, that'll let you scale. Hold down your shift key, it'll let you scale. I'm just not having a good time with this tool right now. Hold on. Let's grab that tool again. Thank you. There we go. It'll let me scale. It'll let me rotate. It'll let me basically use free transform just like I do inside of Photoshop. It'll let me distort. It'll let me do all the kinds of things that just the frame itself won't let me do, and certainly won't let me do as easily. So if you ever need to distort, free transform, or do something to an object that you brought into InDesign or you created inside of InDesign, letter E, free transform tool, if you can't get to your other tools for some reason, that will let you do it. Last but not least, and you've heard me talk about this tool a number of times. It's one of my favorites, and that is the color theme tool. The reason I like this tool is because I like, when I am doing design, one of the things that's hard for me is picking colors. I like to pick colors that complement the content I'm going to use. So the color theme tool lets me do just that. It will let me go in and click on a photograph or on an object that I placed, and it will create a color theme based on that. Now that color theme, once it's up, you can just start using the colors. You can also add these to your swatches or add them to your current library. So right now, if I go to themes, if I click add this to my library, those colors will not only be here for me in InDesign, but they'll be available to me in Photoshop, Illustrator, and all my other ones. All right, next up, if I add them to my swatches, they will be in my swatches panel too, which is right there, and they will come in a folder called Colorful Theme. So you have two choices for doing that, and you can also, just a bonus tip, you can twirl this down and get variations of that theme. So if you like that theme, great. You can come over here, grab, here, let's deselect, there we go color theme tool, there we go. Oh, there we go. So it will let me grab the colors for that photo, add those to my library, grab the colors for, there we go, for that photo, add them to my library, and hold down the Option key because it thinks I'm trying to use the color. So hold down the Option or Alt key to resample and grab the colors for that theme. Now, unfortunately, for that photo, unfortunately, you don't get to, it's not like Adobe Color where you get to pick and choose your 5 colors in the photo. It just does them. But it is a quick way to get some colors that you can design with from the photo you want. All right. Looking at these questions here. All right. So I'm reading your comments. Let's see if I missed any pertinent questions. All right. So everyone's troubleshooting my not being able to pick a tool. One of them was try a different workspace. Let me try that, see if that would work. Other than I know restarting InDesign would probably work too, but let's go back to Essentials. Let's see if that'll do it. Nope, something weird is going on right here in InDesign. I cannot get to the other tools. So something on my setup. All right, I will troubleshoot that on my own time. Not going to waste yours. Do the scissors tool. You really want me to do the scissors tool? Okay. The scissors tool literally lets you cut paths. So if I go ahead and click, now those are 2 separate entities, or 3 in this case. Pick that up, move that away, pick that up, move that away. The scissors tool lets you cut paths. That's what it's for. All right. So with that, so you got a bonus tool. You got number 6. So with that said, these are my five tools that you should take a look at using InDesign. I know the collector one, people are like, I use libraries. That's great, use libraries. But for those quick things where I need to collect a bunch of things, use them once in a different layout, and then be done with it, I think the collector makes sense. All right. I'm glad to be back in front of you as well. After choosing your color theme, how do you decide what colors to use and where in your document? That's a good question, but it's really up to you. So the question was based on the themes. If I come back to that. So for example, if I started, let's say with this last theme that I picked here, what would I use them for? Well, you have some darker colors, some lighter colors. They're all complementary. I would probably use the colors where it makes sense. Like for example, I probably wouldn't use the lightest color on text unless it was on top of something else. So I probably wouldn't use the darkest color if I'm, again, putting that, whatever that element is. It depends on what you're stacking, what's going underneath what, or what's going next to each other. So there's no rhyme, or I shouldn't say there's no rhyme or reason. There's no right or wrong for how you would do this. It just really depends on what you're trying to design. You could decide, for example, all your rules and borders are the dark red. Then you can decide that maybe, I don't know, type over an object would be the second red, or the third, the pink. It literally depends on what you're working on. It's hard to say overall what you would do. It just depends on what it is you're designing. And again, try different colors on different design elements to see which ones you like best for that element. And you might decide that theme doesn't work at all. You might have only liked one color in that theme, but you don't like the rest of the colors that you have to decide with. And there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, the pink doesn't do it for me, I need something else, and then using a different color that complements the rest. So you're not locked into only using those colors. They just give you a starting point. All right, so with that said, hopefully I got, hold on, let me make sure. Hopefully I got all your questions answered. And with that said, we're going to say goodbye. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.